Hello, it is 18:08 on the 26th of March 2024, and I just thought I would do another video. I'll try and keep it kind of short because I can waffle, as you know. I will start off by saying please excuse my video quality. I know it's poor, but until I can replace my camera, there's not a lot I can do. So what I want to talk about today is dog training, or rather dog untraining. And I know it's a very hot topic right now. Which I didn't realize until I started looking up stuff. I adopted a dog about 9 months ago, and even before she arrived, I thought I would refresh my memory because it's been 20 years without a dog. I'll refresh my memory, just some bits and pieces, I don't know, games I can play, things I can do, because I'm 20 years older too, so I don't have the same amount of energy that I did when I had my last dog. And of course, when she died, she was old age, so I have to kind of find things that I can cope with at my age. Not that I'm old, but I'm older. And so I started looking at things last year before she arrived, and then when she got here, still kind of looking at the videos here and there, not really favoring any one channel over another. I just watched a group of things. And some stuff I thought, oh, that's a neat idea about like games we can play when it's a rainy day. And I thought, that's great, we can do this. That'll help get rid of some of her energy, sniffing exercises, that kind of thing. So it has been helpful to find some things we can do indoors when the weather is poor. But what I've noticed is there's a lot of infighting between dog trainers. I don't really get involved in it. I just am aware that this person is having a go at that person because they don't like their methods and blah, blah, blah. So I'm not here to talk about the logistics of that. I'm not here to take sides, or I'm not going to take, I'm not going to get involved in that. That's not my discussion or my argument. What I want to share today is just how I connected some dots about things. So what I realized is once my little Pootie Pie, that's not her name, that's what I call her, my little Pootie Pie arrived, she was fine, and then as we were going out on our walks, as time went on, after a few months, I noticed that she was getting very reactive. And so I wanted to kind of hone in on why that's possible. So again, watching some videos. I also know somebody who's a dog trainer, so I asked them for some advice as well. And what I realized is I was kind of overwhelming myself. And what helped me realize that is I've discovered in recent months 2 channels on YouTube that I've been watching, where the people they're basically just sharing common sense stuff, and it made me connect dots. So they're talking about, the main thing that you want to do is calm your dog, because a calm dog is going to be more, I would say, well behaved. I mean, I'm not looking to control her, but when you're calm, you're more easygoing. You're more, if I'm in a calm state and someone says, "Hey, you want some dinner?" I'm going to be more receptive than if I'm all upset or excited or stressed. So it makes sense, when I compare it to how I would be if somebody's asking me, or take for example, if I'm afraid of something and someone's throwing food at me, I'm not really going to take it. I'm not going to be interested. So then it made me think about, so what happened when I was a child? So I had a childhood dog. When I was 8, we got a puppy, border collie puppy, and I have to say she was the most perfect dog. Not at the start, but I'm talking about when she was middle age and older. Perfect dog. And we did get feedback. I mean, other people would say she's such a well behaved, she's so perfect. So I thought, okay, so what did my mom do? So I lived in I had a traditional upbringing. Dad went to work, mom was stay-at-home mother. We got this puppy when I was 8. And obviously my mom had to teach her some stuff. So she knew I don't use the house as a toilet. I don't get on the furniture. I don't take food from tables. So she learned rules, which I would just say are just politeness, as etiquette. So she learned those basic etiquette. My brother and I, we were both children. We taught her how to sit and give a paw, because that's what kids do. But as I grew up with her, it never really occurred to me about behavior. And certainly by the time she got to be middle aged, so let's see, by the time I got here to the UK, so she came from the US, we came from the US, and she was from farming stock. So she was an actual border collie from a farm. So which tells me in my today's mindset that, oh my gosh, she's going to be highly strung. And you see some of the behavior problems with border collies nowadays because they're used to having a job to do. And I thought, well, why was she so easygoing and everything? And then I started connecting dots. So yes, she learned basic etiquette as a baby, as a puppy. Um, and she was with my mom all day. And my mom, I would imagine, had other stuff to do. She had a house to look after. She had children to look after. So she couldn't just sit around and train all day or cater to a puppy all day. So she had to do other things. So I think my childhood dog grew up with just learning how to be around a family. And because she was a puppy and she had her border collie energy, she got to use that up when my brother and I got home from school. So when we were home from school, she could play with us, and she did kind of used to corral us. I remember playing out in the front garden, and she would kind of corral the kids. And there was a whole neighborhood of kids. So I was lucky. I grew up on a street where there was lots of children, and she was able to get rid of some of that excess energy, the puppy energy, with the kids. And as she grew up, we grew up as well. And I remember once we got here to the UK, so she would have been about 7, I think, by the time we got here, something like that. Yeah, 7 or 8 by the time we got here. She was middle aged and she was quite cool. She was very calm. She was very easygoing. And I remember at that age, even, she didn't need a lead to walk. She would stay with you. And in fact, she didn't need to be restrained at all to go out. She used to love going out in the front garden just to watch the world go by, but she wouldn't leave the edge of the garden. And I just thought, how come we never had an issue with her? And when I think about the differences, so she was taught to just be in a family. She was taught that there's times that you play and times that you sit around. She had no toys. She was not interested in toys. I remember getting one toy when she was a puppy, and it was a little squeaky newspaper thing. She never played with it. She didn't like toys. There were no training treats. There were no training games. There were no training anything back then. This was in the 70s. There was no training anything. It was not a multi-million pound business like it is now. And I just thought, it's connecting dots. The idea here, or the method, is just simplicity, just to be. So I felt myself last autumn getting a little bit anxious about it. I got to do this and I got to do this. And my trainer friend, uh, he came over and walked her, and within minutes she was perfect. My little pootie pie over there, she was perfect on a lead. And then he went away, and then after a few weeks, it started getting a little bit clunky, and then we're basically back to starters. But I remember in December getting ready to go for a walk and chopping up hot dogs, and I don't want to do this every day. I don't want to have to bring food with me on every walk. I don't want to have to remember, we walk a few steps, feed her, walk a few steps and feed her. My hands smelt of hot dogs, and for a vegan that isn't really good stuff. uh, and also, there was a couple times I ran out of hot dogs before we even got home. And then there was this little panic in my mind. What do I do? What do I do? And so I realized that there's something else going on. So how did we have such a perfect dog growing up, and why am I struggling now? And then, like I said, watching these couple of creators that I'm watching on YouTube just kind of brought me right back to it should be simple. And one of them even said straight up, if you're having a dog that's a companion, you're a companion to them, they're a companion to you, why do you need fancy training? You don't. I get it. You need training if you're going to have a dog that's going to be a service dog, or like a medical dog, or look for earthquake victims, or a police dog. So I understand those dogs need a different type of training. But if you're not doing any of that, if the dog's not working a job, and I would say even a sheepdog as well, if they're not working a job, they don't need the fancy training. They just need to learn to be your companion. And I thought, oh my gosh, these guys that I've been watching lately are making it so simple. So you can get rid of all the complication. And then it made me join other dots about this multi-million pound business now, and it's in probably most of your westernized countries, of dog stuff, dog training treats, dog toys, dog this, dog whatever, different kinds of leads, different kinds of everything. And I remember thinking years ago, and it was in one of the, I was watching a video recently, and the guy kind of reminded me of this, but I remember years ago walking in Oxford and just observing the people with the dogs, and the best behaved dogs I saw were the dogs of the homeless people. They stayed with them. They walked with them. They had no leads. They had nothing. They didn't have treats. They didn't have anything. And it was really eye opening watching these couple of creators recently, um, and realizing that it's simple. It's like we complicate things and we put layers and layers and layers and layers, but actually it's so simple. I want a companion. So it's I've kind of gone back to zero and thought, okay, so what's the problem here? So around the house, she's as calm as anything. She's actually a real joy to be with. She can be very calm. Yes, we do play. She's still got puppy energy. She's not even 2 years yet. She's still got puppy energy. We play. We tug of war. We do hide and seek. We play games, which I expect. We go in the garden. We play games. But what I realized is when I was taking her out for a walk, I was getting a little bit tense because I didn't know how she was going to be. And I realized she's just feeding off my tenseness. So I've kind of gone back to basics and I think, okay, the being that needs to change is me. And in fact, one day I just looked at her and said, honey, we got a problem in our relationship. It's not you, it's me. And it is, it's me. So I have to change myself. So I'm working on some calming exercises and I'm doing something called trust technique. And I'm in the early stages of that. And I realize that that's going to be a multi-layered thing, but it's helping me be a little bit more calm because I realize busy life, modern life, everything that's going on, everything that you have to do is everything's fast paced. I've let myself kind of get carried away with fast paced, busy life, and I have to get back to basics. And it's interesting because the universe has been kind of nodding at me. You need to connect with Mother Earth. You need to take things slower. You need to be a little bit more laid back. And so it's almost like I'm being forced now, in order to create this good relationship, to be calmer. Um, and it's interesting, the very early stages of doing some trust technique exercises with her, and we're still at very early stages of it. Interesting to watch her behavior when I just kind of try and calm myself because I have a busy mind. I'm very busy, always thinking, but just trying to calm my mind and just watching her kind of lay down, and she just relaxes, and it's amazing. So I guess the point of this whole video is the fact that I had this perfect dog growing up. But she wasn't, as like I said, she was a normal puppy. She got into stuff. She wasn't perfect as a puppy, but when she got to middle age, she was so a joy to be around. And yet there was no fancy pants training. There was nothing, no tricks, no anything. She was just taught to be part of a family. It is as simple as that. She was not the leader of the pack. She was part of the family. So yeah, I really appreciate having stumbled on these two creators on YouTube because they have enabled me to see things a little more simply, that you just get back to basics. What do you want? I want a companion. I want my dog to want a companion. So let's just start with a relationship. So yeah, it's really eye opening. Anyway, thank you so much for listening, and I hope you glean some wisdom from this. If you're having trouble with your dog, I would say just have a look at where you can get back to basics as much as possible. So thank you for listening, and have a wonderful day wherever you are on planet Earth.